Hello all, welcome to Reflection to Perspection. My name's Azuma. I hope you're all doing well. I am. I feel great today. Spring is in the air. And we all know what that means, right? The birthing of new things, new chapters, and of course the calling of all the things our heart desires. So if there is a want within you for new love, new job, new ways of being, trying to develop new practices and bring them into your world that will assist you to feel your fullest, your wholest, your best. This is definitely the time to sow the seeds. I'm doing exactly that. I feel so full of life as of late, full of hope, full of joy, believing in possibilities and not letting anything or anyone plant their seeds of doubt or dump any of their baggage into my fertile mind. Does this sound selfish? Some might think so, but this is the only way we as individuals can find our footing and find our true selves and offload anything from our life that no longer resonates with us. In other words, this is part of the process in our evolution. And of course, help us to grow and set into motion anything that we want to bring into our world, which will inevitably be the dying of the old self and the birthing of the new. Like I always say, the new can't come into our existence before we release the old. Certain outdated thoughts, certain beliefs about ourselves or people we interact with, these are all things that need to go. Even people that are on different vibrations, whatever it is, spring is the perfect time to set things into action. We're all in a real transformational period and a wonderful time to experience our soul's growth. It might even feel like you're maturing as a person, like fine wine. And therefore recognize easily situations that would draw you back to an immature mindset, immature ways of being, and immature actions. The actions and things that no longer fit us. Deepak Chopra, in a recent interview with Alicia Keys, said, when we're met with those self-defeating thoughts or any overthinking state, a great way to re-ground ourselves into the present and to diffuse them is by simply closing your eyes and answering the question, what am I grateful for? What should start to happen is you'll start to see images of the things that you're grateful for, like your family, your job, even your partner. Or you might get some feelings that make you feel soothed and feel more loved. And that feeling of anxiety will start to subside the more you start to revel in the thoughts that come up, those happier thoughts. New practices such as this one will help you to feel better really quickly and will really lead to the dying of the things that keep us in self-doubt, self-betrayal. Because the more time we confront them, the less power they'll hold over us. If we just keep confronting them, we'll heal them, we'll understand why, we'll ask questions. This will be the birthing of the new you. Certain low vibration thoughts that you might have held on for so long will start to feel alien to you. It's such a great thing and a great way to diffuse them. Or you'll no longer feel an affinity with people that keep you in that state. Your frequency will rise, therefore you will not vibrate at the same level, therefore you won't be able to see them in the same way. This can also mean allowing things that you may have expected to stay in your life forever to end, or an acknowledgement that you want something different or you want more from your world. The more I question things when I feel that agitation is to try and observe what area this feeling is coming up in, and to try and write down what is actually causing the discomfort, what's the feelings I'm feeling. Sometimes I recognise that this agitation has been occurring for a while, but I just haven't attributed it to any particular thing. However, when you keep questioning, you'll be able to eventually attach it to a particular situation. That would be a great time to really get to the bottom of it and really try and evaluate, eradicate, and just deal with it once and for all. Try to discern how you should continue with the thing that's giving you a bit of a headache. Are there any obvious things that you're overlooking? If you decided to keep the said thing in your world, would the condition get better or would it continue to be the same? What would actually bring you peace of mind? Be honest with yourself. If this situation didn't change, would you be happy with it in 5 years? If those questions don't give you the answer you need, I don't know what will. It's a really great time to develop your observation skills and really become a conscious thinker and get behind the thoughts and understand why you think in a particular way and how outcomes should look like. You have to also learn to relinquish control and an attachment to a particular result. That's also part of the process. Because often enough it is that keeps us attached to situations that no longer serve us. The attachment and the thoughts that, I want it to play out this particular way. I mean, it's a lot to take in and a lot to accept. But when we recognise that certain things need to transform in our lives, that acknowledgement should be the driver for us to want to encourage that change. Alternatively, all we're doing is stunting our growth and creating some kind of self-deceit. And also, what people don't realise is often enough, when we do allow these transformations to take place, the universe will reward us in some way for actually allowing the transformation. When we follow the prompts and go to the next level of our evolution, we're really in alignment with our higher self. And we're displaying this to our spiritual team. So as a result of us doing that, they always want to reward us. Isn't that a great incentive to allow the change? I think so. We can't try and control the process by holding on to the process too tightly, because all we're going to do is encourage the same and not leave any room for the unknown. I know this one really well. For the last 5 years or so, I've felt a real drain on my spirit when I knew and had this inner knowing that I would have to invest so much in order to grow my business, and it was always going to be more than I was prepared to do. I knew I'd hit a plateau and just wasn't allowing my creativity to be expressed in the way that I wanted it to be. But this was mainly because I was trying to be everything to everybody and just serving too many masters. I had to make a choice between higher end fashion and ready to wear. I knew what I was capable of producing was more aligned to a higher end market. But what I'd have to invest emotionally and financially would have been more than I was prepared to do at that stage. So I tried to hold on to both, and in doing so, wasn't able to do either of them to the standard I was happy with. So I released the choice making and gave it over to the divine to direct me. The message I got back was very clear to me, because none of the options I was being presented with weren't very encouraging. And then I realised at that point I was being led to move on. It was very clear that this chapter was now over and that I should be open to new changes and new things. There are all manners of things we miss when we're being distracted by life. We forget the things such as joy and laughter and the things that make us feel our best. We even create habits that help us to numb and suppress our true feelings about certain things, such as things like overeating, overworking, drinking. We start deceiving ourselves into thinking we're okay as we are because we've created these habits that suppress our true feelings. If we're not true to ourselves and allow ourselves to heal and confront things, this is all self-deceit. And the only way we can heal the things and move on is to integrate them into our lives. By allowing the self to become aware of all the things that are being flagged up to us and all the things that need attention. We're allowing ourselves to grow and allowing our soul to grow. And ultimately reach the destination of the soul's purpose. We can't remain the same. We can't, you can obviously, but you shouldn't want to, because you're holding on things that are no longer part of who you are, just for reasons such as fear of the unknown, or that that certain things that you have to do may not be so encouraged by certain people. Therefore, you might have to go on this as a solo journey and therefore leave certain things and certain people behind. But what we don't realise is all the things we're afraid to leave behind more than likely weren't supposed to go along with us to the next chapter of our journey. So why do I say that? Because everyone's in our life for a reason, not necessarily for the reasons we may think they're there for. I know this sounds a bit like, but how many times has someone you loved, or a friend or a loved one, done something that in your opinion was very self-sabotaging to themselves, to the relationship, or even to the friendship? I've really lamented on this and decided that we subconsciously know a purpose for being in somebody's life. And our inner knowing creates situations and drama that actually sabotages the situation, so that they only stay for the season that they were meant for, that purpose. I know this feeling so well myself. I have so many facets to my personality, and I've recognised that one of my traits is that I can really get comfortable with things and situations that aren't really for me. Be it a job, a relationship, a friendship, anything. So I've chosen jobs that are really mundane and really boring, but just simply for the fact that I can do it well. I would just think, it would do. But there'd be always something or somebody at that job that just really wants to grate me and annoy me and shake shit up and make me feel really uncomfortable and make the situation so uncomfortable that I have no other option but to leave. It's the same for a relationship. Before my long-term one, the same thing was happening with partners. I'd be like, he's alright, he would do. But there came that thing that I'm talking about. They'll do that thing that would really annoy me. They'll start sabotaging, or I'll start sabotaging. And of course, the situation will end and I would move on. So therefore, I think that theory has to be right. We know why people are here in our lives. Therefore, when that alarm bell goes off in one of us, we start sabotaging. I'm certain it would have been the same outcome in my last relationship if I hadn't taken my inability to stay in relationships beyond 3 years as a personal issue, a possible problem with myself. Why I took it on as my problem, I don't know. But we tend to. So therefore, I was on a mission to prove to myself, you can stay in a relationship, Zuma. You can make a relationship work. You can be in something long term. So therefore, if you possess that attitude, it doesn't matter what the person does or what is being flagged up as a red flag. You're going to be thinking, I've got to make this work in order to prove a point to yourself. Obviously, that's the wrong basis for any relationship. I'm not saying that's the only reason you might stay, but I think, possibly that's what I was doing. Because there were red flags, but I was determined to prove to myself I could make it work. Of course, this is only my humble opinion. But if this was true, what if this was all true? What if this was all just to help us to refocus and to just allow our souls to dictate where we're meant to go? The soul is us after all. It knows what will make us happy. It knows what it wants to experience. It will help us to move forward towards what was always destined for us, way, way, way before we came to this plane. The soul is still us. It's more like a GPS, I reckon, that's just there to direct us and move us away from things that are just going to be pointless. Helps us to not live aimlessly and helps us to just, flitter in the wind. Obviously, everyone can live their life how they choose. But what if that is what we're supposed to be doing? Living with purpose. I'm going to try and live with purpose anyway. That's my goal. So, thank you. That's going to be a short one. I was lamenting on this last night and I thought, I'm going to do a video on how we can possibly get rid of the old and introduce the new without too much contention. Okay, great to be here again. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please like, please share, and of course, please subscribe. Thank you. Bye.